So, working my way through high school, my weeks usually look something like this. Ooh. I push all my work off until the very last possible minute, and if at all possible, I push it off until the weekend. Plenty of time, right? Well, I can't do anything on Friday because that's my evening to relax. Saturday always finds a way to fly by, and that leaves me with Sunday. Plenty of time, right? Well, I wake up around 11 or 12 because I've earned it. I get up, look at my phone for a bit, eat, 1 o'clock. But now I'm feeling a little tired, so why not take a nap? But why bother setting an alarm? 3:30. I get up, grab a snack. Oh wait, okay. Plenty of time left. I have 6 hours before 10 o'clock, and that'll get me a good night's sleep, so I'm rested for the week ahead. But then I'm feeling a little hungry, so I decide to take a snack. 4 o'clock. Then I look at my phone for a little while. I look at my phone for a little while, finally get my workout, and then it's supper time. This brings us to 6:30. Maybe I can push my work back, or my sleep back, just a little bit. But then my phone comes out, and it stays out. 7 o'clock comes and goes, 8 o'clock comes, and all of a sudden I start to panic, but just a little. But now I'm screwed. Being super self-conscious about my awful decisions, I walk into the bathroom, look in the mirror, and go, I am one pathetic loser. Now it's 8 o'clock, and I'm going to have to push my bedtime back, become much more selective in the work I'll be doing, and drastically decrease the effort I'll put into that work. The next morning, I wake up exhausted, unmotivated, and very much behind on the work I need to do for that week. Procrastination is great. That is, until you can no longer afford to do it, and you're left with 3 days of work to do in 3 hours. This is a concept I've become all too familiar with. In fact, I find myself stuck doing 5 speeches in 2 weeks, all during AP exams. So maybe I haven't fully gotten rid of my procrastination. This is a very unhealthy habit of mine. That it's become a very unhealthy habit of mine to push things off until the very last minute. My friends have noticed, I've noticed, my teachers have noticed, my parents have noticed. People tell the chronic procrastinator me to just do it. It does just about as much as telling someone who's chronically depressed to cheer up. But why do we procrastinate? How can we fight the urge to favor more pleasant tasks? Let's start with the cause. What pushes us not to do the things we know we need to do, aka the gap between intention and action? Psychologists and social scientists often debate whether procrastination is the inability to manage time or the inability to manage moods and emotions. A simple definition places emphasis on the fluctuating utility of tasks. Pleasurable tasks are given more priority earlier on, while more productive and serious tasks are given more importance as the deadline approaches. This would point towards procrastination being mainly an issue of time management and not much else. However, a study has also found that procrastinators carry many negative feelings such as stress, anxiety, and guilt. In the process of procrastinating, people are very well aware that what they're doing will harm them in the future, but can't overcome the pull to do something more fun. Another study points to suggests that people are more likely to push aside tasks and favor something more pleasant if their mood will be improved as a result. This means that if you're tired, sad, angry, annoyed, whatever, you'll be much more likely to push off a task in favor of something more pleasurable. Generally, after you make a mistake once, twice, a few times, you'll reassess the approach to completing that task in the future. This brings us to the concept of the chronic procrastinator. People who, like myself, never learn from the destructive nature of their mistakes. We get stuck trying to relieve stress in the present moment, and that clouds our path to stress relief in the long run. Now, if we take the time management theory and mix it with the concept that emotions rule our decision making, we get the idea that procrastinators comfort themselves in the present moment in hopes of being better equipped, better emotionally equipped to tackle that in the task in the future, which often we find not to be the case at all. So in turn, chronic procrastinators find themselves pleasing the present self with total disregard of how their future self will feel. As a chronic procrastinator, it feels a little something like this. So everything's pretty stable until the day something's due comes along, and then everything just goes crazy. You start doing work, but you end up not doing as much work as you should be doing, leaving yourself with a lot of work. You put a lot of effort in as the deadline approaches, but not much before that. Your caffeine intake also increases incrementally as you attempt to complete the task, and then the feelings go wild as well. You're having a lot of fun at the beginning, but by the deadline, you're having negative fun, in fact. Your stress skyrockets, and procrastinators just live in a constant state of pain because we've been here one too many times. So, how can we go about changing this for the better? Deadlines and lists are a great place to start. What do I have to do? In what order will I do them? If you have 10 things to do and 3 of them are particularly unpleasant, try to space them out. Don't leave them all until the end and try to do them back to back. You'll end up pounding your head through a wall and giving up. Instead, try and make a list and follow it. Once you're done a task, cross it off. This adds an extra level of satisfaction and allows you to monitor your progress. If something's particularly unpleasant, try to associate a positive feeling with it. Once you're done that pesky English essay or that dreaded research paper, you can go outside, go exercise, go get a snack, anything that'll help change your mood. Now, this is less effective than an actual deadline because technically, if you don't do the task, nothing bad's going to happen. But procrastinators hate deadlines. We fear them. So having something nearer than when the task or the work is actually due will at least inspire some sort of motivation and progress in the right direction. This does require a deal of self-discipline, but results require efforts. So this will definitely minimize those efforts. Often, it can be hard to suppress desires and temptations to do something that's more fun, but there are things you can control. Go plug in your phone somewhere far from your workspace. Turn your ringer off. Find an environment that's peaceful and you know you can work well in. By adding barriers that'll require efforts to find these distractions, you leave yourself with only the work you set out to do. For me, it's taking my phone out of the equation. No more YouTube, no more text, and no more endless scrolling on social media. I'm left with no choice but to do my work that I had to do in the first place. And the last thing that studies attribute the most success to is forgiving yourself for your past decisions. Now, this may sound pretty silly and oversimplified, which is normal. I thought so too at first. But for anyone who's ever procrastinated, again, probably the vast majority of you guys at one point, you know the emotional burden it has on you afterwards. You're probably pretty mad at yourself and not very confident in the work you've just produced. By actually forgiving yourself for your past shortcomings or your bad decisions, you allow yourself to move on from what has happened in the past and focus on what is to come. Sometimes it can be more than just forgiving yourself. Once you stop seeing yourself as a procrastinator, you begin to see yourself as more and more productive. If you label yourself and see yourself as a procrastinator, you'll fall into things that a procrastinator would do. Once you begin to see yourself as a productive, driven person, you'll do things a productive, driven person would do. And so, by breaking down this massive task into steps towards productivity, it becomes a whole lot less scary. As James Clear points out in his book Atomic Habits, it's all about making things attractive, easy, obvious, and satisfying. A proper work environment and lack of distractions makes it easy and obvious. Checking off a to-do list adds a degree of satisfaction, and a reward system and the proper spacing of unpleasant tasks makes it more attractive. If any of this resonates with you and you intend on implementing this into your lives, start slowly. Don't take it as a whole other task that you need to undertake, because then you're just back at square one. Like with someone who's starting to work out, they're not going to start by lifting 300 pounds. Start slowly and results will come. And so this doesn't become yet another thing that you push off. You might want to start right now. Well, maybe not right now, but sometime soon. Thank you.